Hi, everyone. It's been a little while since I did a video for the YouTube channel, so I just wanted to talk today about what I've been seeing in the last week or two. The first thing is, as we know that the cases of COVID due to Omicron are up. However, it does seem to be a more mild form. I'm seeing still that the vaccine may be about 50% effective based on the few hundred patients we've seen so far with COVID. And currently, about half the patients I'm seeing with COVID were vaccinated. So I want to point out again that this shot is different than any other vaccine. If you did get vaccinated and you want to know a little bit more about how that might have affected your immune system, then let us know and we can do labs. We can measure inflammatory markers. We can measure autoantibodies, for example, TPO and antithyroid globulin antibodies. I have a few patients who did get a COVID booster, and we saw their thyroid antibodies go up very, very high after the booster. And usually what that caused was a decrease in their thyroid function because they already had these thyroid antibodies and they were prone to hypothyroidism. I also saw the opposite in Graves' disease, where a patient that was prone to hyperthyroidism, and it seemed that the booster actually pushed her into an autoimmune flare. So keep in mind that my patient population has autoimmune disease, has inflammation to start with. And so that is why I can't give like a blanket recommendation for this shot. However, if you've had COVID or you have COVID now, or you got the vaccine, then you do have the spike protein in you. And that's a lot of us, right? A lot of people at this point have either had COVID or gotten the vaccine or both. And so I wanted to talk through a few things you can do. First of all, if you do already have thyroid antibodies and you saw those rise very quickly with a booster or with a shot, low-dose naltrexone works really well to just basically correct the endorphins from the brain when you're sleeping that are telling the immune system how to behave. So they're correcting the autoimmunity when you're sleeping. So LDN is great. You can take it at bedtime. If you don't know what that is, come talk to me or Kristen. Rosemary essential oil can also do a really great job of increasing something called T regulatory cells, which is the part of the immune system that also helps correct autoimmunity or balance the immune system. Rosemary, you can do 1 drop of essential oil in a carrier oil and actually just gently massage the thyroid. The next thing is make sure your vitamin D levels are optimal. Optimal is between 55 and 75. A lot of times I check people and their vitamin D is 29 or 32, which LabCorp doesn't consider that low, but for functional medicine, we consider that low, right? And then food, you know, our diet and what we eat is one of the biggest tools we have that doesn't really cost extra, and because you have to eat anyway, and can help us to regulate our immune system. So an anti-inflammatory diet. What does that mean for you? So that's a very interesting question. We're getting into the time in 2022 where we understand genetically which foods are good for certain people. Pure Encapsulations is also offering genomics testing where they take your raw data from one of the other companies like 23andMe or Ancestry.com, and they run it through their system to basically figure out the perfect foods for you. I can also tell you what I have seen based on my degree in nutrition, as well as what I've seen with patients who ate a certain way and were able to lower their inflammation, depending on what gender you are and what your hormones are doing, depending on what your immune system is doing, depending on how old you are and your blood type. And so we can use all different things to basically determine the best foods for you. So talk to me or Kristen about that. And then also come and talk to Kelly and get some recipes and great ways to change your food. Lastly, I also have saved Dr. Joseph Mercola's handout on basically neutralizing the spike protein or how to detox from the spike protein. One of the other things I haven't mentioned yet here today that's really helpful is Nigella seed. Black cumin seed extract is also wonderful, same thing. So you can order these through FullScript. Ivermectin can also be great for detoxing from the spike protein, NAC or N-acetylcysteine, or what it makes, which is glutathione. So, and then of course, magnesium, which also helps us detox. Zinc can definitely help, but you don't want to take too much zinc, so you want to get your level tested. And there is also talk on the internet, and I just want to pause for just a moment and talk about pine needles. So pine oil or pine needles, people are making them themselves or are ordering essential oil pine needles in order to basically detox from the spike protein, whether it's from the vaccine or from having had COVID. So I don't recommend essential oils internally until we have more research. And that's because essential oils like pine needle oil do contain carcinogens, and there are not that many companies that are testing for and removing all the carcinogens from these essential oil. However, there are a few trusted resources for pine needle oil. So if you would like to try that, I can certainly give you that information, but certainly what's more tried and true and tested is the low-dose naltrexone, the vitamin D, the rosemary topically, but not orally, as well as NAC and glutathione and magnesium. We know those really help. Getting good sleep and managing your stress are always going to be really important when it comes to detox. So if you think anything has changed in your body since getting the booster, if you feel more inflamed, or if you'd like to know if you're more inflamed, we can do labs. Or if you had COVID and you'd like to detox, you can make a special appointment to get an individualized treatment plan, and you can try some of the things that I just mentioned. I hope you have a great weekend and stay safe.